Hello everyone, welcome back to the football story. The Premier League is just over a week away, and with that we have to do some Premier League predictions. So you'll see the list on the screen now. These are the categories we are going to look at. Obviously the champions, Premier League winner. We're going to look at the top four, the teams to get relegated, golden boot, most assists, surprise package, hot take, and first manager sack. But before we get into that, if you want to give me your thoughts or who you think would be in these categories, please put them into the comments, or just give me your Premier League hot take of the season and I will take a look at some of the best ones. I'm going to do potentially a video on it, so you could get featured. Put in your Premier League hot take. Let me know what you're thinking. But let's get into it. So, Premier League winners. Who should this Liverpool fan decide as Premier League champions? Tough decision. I am going to go with Manchester. No, obviously, I'm going with Liverpool for these reasons. This team has just won a Premier League at an absolute canter. Man City and Arsenal, nowhere near us right now. They've just gone out and signed the best 10 in the world, the best left back in the Premier League last season, one of the best right backs in the world, and potentially are going to sign one of the best strikers in world football. If they do that, added to the quality they already have, Szoboszlai, McAllister, Gravenberch, Van Dijk, Alisson, Salah, Gakpo, this team is absolutely stacked, and they have so many ways that they can cause damage to the other teams. And I just don't think the other teams in the league will be able to cope with them consistently. I just think they're so ruthless in front of goal. There's so much quality in all different positions, and I just think this team is going to be too hard to stop. So, Liverpool are Premier League champions for me. Top four. This one is interesting because I think Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man City will probably be the most nailed on. Chelsea, I think, are in the mix, and I think obviously next season it potentially will be top five again, so maybe we'll do top five. And then in that too, I don't think Newcastle will get it. I think they might struggle a little bit because they could potentially lose Isaac, and they're going to have Champions League qualifications as well. So I think similar to what happened a few seasons ago, they haven't brought in many players to be able to cope with that level of football. So I think they might struggle. They might pick up injuries again, and that will mean they don't get Champions League. And then I think Tottenham. I actually do think Tottenham will get it. I think Thomas Frank, really good manager. I think he'll have them solidly set up in the way that they should be. And I think he'll get a lot out of those players. He's a very good manager in getting more out of players. Like you think of, I know James Maddison is out injured now, but you think of some of the likes of Romero, Pedro Porro, I think will be really good in that team. I think Son is obviously gone, but there's talking of bringing in Paulinho as well to add into that midfield. Solanke, I think, is a really good forward. I think he might get a lot out of Brennan Johnson. So I think Spurs are in a good place. I think Thomas Frank will be a very good manager for Spurs, and I think they will get them into Champions League qualification once again. Relegation. This one is a bit tricky, and I was trying to think a little bit about it, but I'm probably going to lean towards Sunderland, Leeds, and I think Burnley will actually stay up. I think it's one of West Ham, Wolves, and Brentford. I think those three teams are in a lot of trouble. Wolves have lost a lot of players, Cunha being the most recent one, and I think they're just lacking that little bit of quality. They've lost their main goal scorer. I think that would be a real issue. Brentford have been decimated. You think of Vissa is potentially going out to Newcastle, and they've obviously lost Mbeumo too. So I think goals are what these teams need, and when you lose a talisman, I think that's a big issue. West Ham they obviously lost Kudus. You're losing a lot of your quality going forward. So I think those three teams will be in trouble. Burnley, coming up from the Championship, have a really good defensive record, and I think that's something that will help them be hard to break down, even though they're playing against better quality. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with Leeds, Sunderland, and I'm going to go Brentford. I think they might go down. So, moving on to Golden Boot. The one thing I would say, Salah obviously won the Golden Boot last year. I think this year his numbers won't be as high. I think Erling Haaland will win it, and I think Salah won't get as many numbers. One, because he's going to AFCON. He'll come back, and usually after AFCON, he doesn't perform the best. So I think his numbers, in that case, they won't be anywhere near as high as they are last year. I think he might end up with 20 goals, let's just say, in the Premier League, which is by no means bad, but I think Haaland might have one of those seasons where he gets like 30 plus. So I'm going to go with Erling Haaland in Golden Boot. I think it's just between those two. I don't think Gyökeres There's some of that obviously will come in. I think Arsenal fans will be happy with potentially 15 to 20 goals in the Premier League. Let's just say overall, maybe 30 plus goal contributions would be a very good season for him. And I think that's the expectation set on him. But I think 15 to 20 goals in the Premier League would be good. But I still think Salah and Haaland are the ones to be in that category. Surprise package. So I was thinking about this more and more, right? And think about a team that are on the up, that have a little bit more energy around them. They finished last season very strongly, and that is Everton. Obviously, rivals to Liverpool. I think David Moyes has them in a really good position. I think they maybe want to get one or two more in the door. But I even look at their team now, and I think like they've obviously kept hold of Brathwaite. Beto looked really good in the second half of last season. And defensively, they're really solid, and they can cause problems on the counter-attack. And Ndiaye, who's someone who I really rate, and I think he'll have another good season. So I think surprise package will be Everton. I think they might push for like a European place. Maybe not Champions League, but I think like Europa League, Conference League. I think they'll be in and around that mix. That's how highly I rate them. So surprise package, I'm going Everton. Hot take. I am going to go that. This is how highly I rate Thomas Frank. I think Thomas Frank will win manager of the season. I think what he's going to do with that Tottenham team, going into a team that obviously I know won a trophy last season, but the big issue with them was they conceded way too many chances, were way too open. And I just think he'll solve them issues. He'll understand what he needs to get out of his players. He won't have as much issues with injuries, I don't think. I think he'll manage the team a lot more because they won't be, say, running 60 yards to try and get back and defend. Romero, Van de Ven, he'll have them fully fit, and that'll help them in terms of stabilising what they actually want to do and how they want to play. And then going forward, I think, as I said earlier on, he gets so much out of his players. So my hot take is Thomas Frank will win manager of the season. The Premier League Playmaker Award, most assists, and I am going to back my boy, Florian Wirtz. Even from the small snippets that we've seen of him in pre-season, I just think he's going to cause so many issues for these Premier League defenders. I think he gets in those pockets so well. He's not afraid to drop a little bit deeper and pick out players like Gakpo, Salah, who can maybe like pick the ball up a little bit shorter in outside the D. And then you have runners like Ekitike or Isak in behind. I just think he'll be so involved in how Liverpool's build up and fluidity and how they want to actually dictate play and create so many chances. I just think he'll be at the heart of all of it. And I think when Salah obviously goes to AFCON, Liverpool will be looking to him as their main creator. So I think Florian Wirtz will win the Playmaker Award for most assists in the Premier League next season. And then first manager to be sacked. Listen, I know United have obviously spent big on Mateus Cunha, Mbuemo, and potentially going to get Sesko. I just feel like Amorim hasn't been able to get his message across to the players so far. They still have a lot of, like, say, toxicity in the dressing room from what it seems. And if they have a bad start, similar to like Ten Hag last year, I don't think Sir Jim Ratcliffe has the patience to hold out with him as manager. So my first manager to be sacked in the season is going to be Ruben Amorim. But there we have it. The Premier League predictions for the 25-26 season. Let me know your thoughts. What are you thinking? Give me all your opinions. Hot takes, Golden Boot winner, Premier League champion, whatever it is. But if you enjoyed the content, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and I shall see you all on the next one. Cheers, guys.